So the Primetime Emmys, one of the most anticipated award shows of the year, has finally gone down for the 2023-2024 television season. It's a bit of an awkward year because we actually did have a Primetime Emmy Award ceremony happen earlier this year, back in January, which was
Mhm.
postponed due to the dual strikes of last year in Hollywood. And so they had to obviously push that show back, which awarded a lot of the television shows from last year. And so it was a bit of an awkward year, but we're back sort of on schedule as we expect it to be. And there were a lot of big shows, obviously, that we've talked about on the podcast numerous times, things that we were looking forward to seeing in terms of who was going to win, and obviously some pretty tight award races across the board here. We're going to dive
Mhm.
into a lot of the big categories and share our thoughts and reactions on who won, who might have been snubbed, some of the surprises that happened. But before we do, just want to start with some big picture thoughts. Did you get a chance to watch any of the Primetime Emmy Awards? Did you watch clips? Did you just see some of the fashion moments? What did you see? And if you did watch any of the show, what did you think about the overall production of this year's Primetime Emmy Awards?
Yeah, I actually watched the whole thing, beginning to end. Only thing I did not watch was the red carpet before. That was the part I did see on socials. Of course, people pulling up in their fashion. Everybody looked really good. But yeah, I got a chance to check out the whole thing pretty much live. I use YouTube TV, so sometimes I get to go back and rewatch something I missed if I was like looking away or doing something. But I caught it live for the most part, and I think overall it was an okay show. Not like it didn't like blow my socks off or anything. I think there were certain parts that were boring, for lack of a better term. I don't know. There was just like wasn't much going on. But I think for production and for what it looked like and all of that stuff was fine. I think that was so interesting. I don't really have a ton of complaints either, except it was just like, dang, maybe we should do something else in here. I don't know what else that thing would be though. Like I can't even give constructive feedback in that way. But I'm happy they got Eugene and Dave Levy to go ahead and host it. I like them as hosts. I think they were funny. Plus, I'm a Schitt's Creek fan. Maybe I'm biased there, but I thought they did what they had to do as host of the Emmys. I thought they did a good job. And I think overall, yeah, it was an okay show, man. And a lot of good speeches in there, a lot of important speeches in there that I really love hearing. Apparently, the representation was up this year, so that definitely added, I think, to the energy in the room. Hearing some of those speeches and some people win as well that were also giving some of these like, "Hey, yo, Hollywood is broken." Like I love to see. I think our actors and actresses and a crew cast anybody this when they win an award, they're like, yeah, this stuff is broken. And I love that since they're a part of it, they're recognizing some of the stuff in Hollywood is broken as well from a TV perspective or just from a production perspective too. So I like that part of the show as well. But overall it was an okay night for the Emmys. Again, didn't blow my socks off, but not a bad watch at all.
I thought it was a solid show. It definitely feels a lot very connected to the show that they produced earlier this year, which I had a lot of praise for just because of its efficiency, but then also some of
Mm-hmm.
the production touches that they added earlier this year in the 75th Primetime Emmy Award ceremony. They had these segments that were dedicated to cast reunions because there were a lot of notable reunions, whether it was a 10-year or 15 or 25-year anniversary. And they did something similar with this show. Instead, they decided to focus on TV archetypes. So they would do TV dads or lawyers or TV mothers, and they would bring together different cast members from iconic shows to present awards. And I thought that stuff was really cool and a really great way to just like tie in together just the storytelling and some of the connections that a lot of these shows have. And it gets
Mm-hmm.
a great opportunity to see stars that we might not have seen in a while, or they've not been at the Emmys in a while. So I liked all of those touches, and I like the efficiency of the Emmys. It's a 3 hour show. They don't really waste time at all with a
Yeah.
lot of extra stuff, and I like that personally. I know a lot of these other shows are having identity crisis, and I've worked in award shows. Like I know it's always a challenge just trying to figure out how to get an audience and how to bring people in, and
Mm-hmm.
how do you delineate from your traditional linear audience versus the people that are only going to catch the social clips and catch the things that become memes. But as a tight production, as a 3 hour just solid production, I thought it was overall a pretty good show. And it also turned out to be a pretty big success for ABC. The viewership this year actually just came out, reported that they accumulated 6.9 million viewers, which is up from the ceremony from earlier this year, which had a record low. I think it was somewhere under 5 million from
Mm.
the ceremony in January. And so this particular ceremony jumped up 54%.
Wow.
Probably a lot of that is due to just just the fact that I think people are accustomed to the Emmys happening at this time of the year as opposed to January, which
For
that's
sure.
typically when we're getting film ceremonies and award shows, whereas Emmys always kicks off the television season in the fall. And so it's good to see that they are getting some of that viewership back. And again, overall, I think it was a pretty solid show.
Mhm.
But of course, it's about the winners. It's about the television programs and the creators and the actors who walked away with big trophies from the night. Coming into the show, Shogun was a heavy favorite in most of its categories. It led all programs with 25 nominations, followed by The Bear with 23, which was the most ever for a comedy series in a single year. But Shogun in particular, we should obviously start there. It's a show that we've talked about on this podcast and reviewed. It's a show that we predicted would probably be a heavy favorite coming into the Emmys. And I mean, it absolutely dominated the field in all respects because last week the Creative Arts Emmys happened. And
Mhm.
outside of that ceremony, Shogun had already won 14 awards, which at that time became the record for the most awarded show for a single season of television ever. And so now tonight they were only going to add on top of what they won last week with the latest edition of the Emmys, and they won an additional 4 awards and walked away with the biggest award for the night for the drama series. And they did win Best Drama, which this is now the first time that a non-English language series has won Best Drama at the Emmys. They also won for Outstanding Directing, as well as Outstanding Lead Actress for Anna Sawai and Outstanding Lead Actor for Hiroyuki Sanada. Both of them becoming the first Japanese actor and actress to win that award. And so, yeah, it was an absolute incredible showing for Shogun, and they walked away with pretty much all the gold. 18 out of 25 Emmys is
Sheesh.
unparalleled. Literally, no show has done that before. So, what were your thoughts just on Shogun coming in here and just absolutely dominating and just really making a name for itself and probably tapping into a whole new audience? Because if people didn't hear about Shogun or if they didn't watch it,
Mhm.
I would imagine that this particular showing would certainly draw in new viewership.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because there were people on Twitter watching the Emmys live, and they were like, "I need to add Shogun to my watch list right now." And I'm like, "Yes, you absolutely do." But I'm happy to be here, man. Again, we reviewed Shogun on the podcast, and it's very clear that we really like this show, and I think we seen this coming that it would clean up when come Emmy season. I think we called that, but this is still crazy. Like you said, 18 out of 25 is insane. But I'm really happy for this to be the case because Shogun isn't a non it, or it is a non English language series. I feel like we just opened the best can of worms that you could possibly open because a lot of people will always say, "Man, have you seen this show? Have you seen that show?" And it'll always be like a Korean show or something. And people be like, "No, I've never heard of it," and this and that. And Shogun feels like, I don't know, just a perfect medium to bring in, oh yeah, sure, this may be an American quote unquote show, but here we are with some different language barriers. You got to read subtitles, Japanese culture on 1,000. Like, it really is just a different kind of show brought into a lot of American audiences. A lot of people haven't seen a show like Shogun, so I love that it's getting the praise it's getting. I love that it's won the awards that it won. I think it deserved it, but I think the impact that the show has is going to be long lasting. So I'm excited to see what comes out of that.
It's pretty astronomical when you really consider all the factors here. The fact that first and foremost, the Walt Disney Company greenlit a show, a historical drama that's set in 17th century feudal Japan, pretty much almost entirely in Japanese, and gave it the budget that they gave it. This was a ridiculously expensive show. Even one of the creators noted that on stage. It's a miracle that the Walt Disney Company even said, like, we want that show, let's do it. And it's a remake on top
Mm-hmm.
of that,
Yeah.
a remake of a highly acclaimed series that
Mm-hmm.
came out about 40 years ago. And then you add on top of the fact that it does turn out to be a pretty phenomenal achievement. It's a really, really good show. It's critically acclaimed, and it comes into the biggest award show in all of television and just makes history time and time again. I mean, this is it's pretty astounding to me that they were able to achieve this, and it does. I think it does signal some really positive things about what can be achieved when you just take on riskier quote unquote visions and do something that's
Mm-hmm.
different and do things that can challenge the audience, because aspect about this show would challenge the audience. There's no stars attached to it. It is mostly in
Mm-hmm.
Japanese. It's a historical piece. Like, these are all things I think conventionally that studios would say that's probably not going to work. I don't think we're going to be able to pull that off. But the fact that they, I think, essentially went all in on this is why we're seeing it be so successful, and now they're reaping the rewards for it. Also, Hiroyuki Sanada, being the weathered veteran that he is in this industry, and
Mm-hmm.
for working as long as he has to achieve this moment, because he's broken down so many barriers and opened so many doors for other Japanese actors. I mean, I was just really, really happy to see him after all this time, pretty much working for like 5 decades within cinema, to be able to achieve this and to have this type of success and acknowledgement is a really, really great thing to see. And of course, Anna Sawai, who is the standout of the show. We talked about that. If you've not seen Shōgun, she's really the MVP of the entire series and has to
Yes.
do more than almost anybody else in the cast,
Mm-hmm.
including speak like 2 or 3 different languages. So it was almost a surefire bet that I think she was going to walk away with this award, and deservedly so. I'm really, really happy for her, and I'm really happy for what it might mean for her trajectory as an actress and the things that she'll be offered now moving ahead. We do know that Shōgun is now going to continue. They've already greenlit multiple seasons for this series. It was intended as a limited series because it is based on a book that does have a beginning, middle, and end. But I think when you look at a business sort of proposition, they're like, there's
Mm-hmm.
no way we cannot do more of these. Like, this is one of the most successful television series that we've produced in the 21st century. How do we not go back to this? But I mean, what do you think about that? I know we've briefly touched on that, but does that worry you? Do you think that they can replicate the success of this again? Could they
Mm-hmm.
perhaps be a series like a Game of Thrones, which was able to achieve a lot of Emmy success year after year? Although there are differences there because Game of Thrones is based on multiple books as opposed to one
Exactly.
book. But I don't know. What's your
Exactly.
outlook on just the future of Shogun when we get those next few seasons?
Yeah, I mean, I have to be, I think, weary and a little bit worried because of everything. I mean, what you just said, man. Game of Thrones did have that the backing of source material. A lot of good TV shows do, you know what I mean? Or in Shogun, it'd be different if it was like original from the beginning, but because it's not, because it is something a recreation and a rewrite, and it's like, dang, okay, so now they have to go back to, or what are we going to do for season 2, what are we going to do for season 3, and coming up with that stuff from, kind of your head, or having to write that stuff from scratch can be hard, and it can be scary, and I don't know if it's always possible to recreate that lightning in the bottle that Shogun season 1 was. So is it possible? I think for them to overcome that, absolutely. But I think it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take everybody being all in, and some dedication and concentration in order for them to make a good seasons post season 1. So we'll have to see. But I'm going to be weary, but I have faith in them that they can do it. But it's I'm gonna still be looking with one eye open, like, goodness, I hope this goes correctly.
It's one of the more unique things that's happening. I don't think we've had anything quite like this. We've had super successful shows come out of the gate, be critically acclaimed, but they're almost always either original or they are
Mm-hmm.
adapted from the get-go, and they continue that same path forward. This is a rare sort of situation where we're having something that was clearly adapted from source material multiple times over, and now we're venturing into the complete unknown, and out of the gate they've achieved the maximum level of success that you could probably have. I,
Right.
I don't I don't know where you go from here but down. If I'm being honest,
Yeah,
it's almost
I agree.
impossible to replicate this.
I agree.
But if they can really buckle down, and I think just stick to the essence of what the show is, and create even more compelling original new characters moving ahead, then they certainly have all the potential in the world to still be an
Mm-hmm.
amazing, incredible show on television, and maybe even be able to shock us and surprise us and take it into new territory that we're not expecting. I think you almost have to possibly do some really hard pivots and just go in a completely different direction to kind of throw
Mm-hmm.
people off, and hopefully that can create some more earned interest into the show. So I'll be interested to see how things work out for Shogun. We should also talk about The Bear, which it also achieved a lot of success this year as well. It broke its own record for the most Emmys won by a comedy series in a single year, which the previous record was 10 that it set, and now they have won 11 awards, including Best
Sheesh.
Lead Actor for Jeremy Allen White, Best Supporting Actor for Eben Moss-Baccarat, who had a baby face. He's coming fresh off of the shooting of Fantastic Four, probably had to fly back to London this morning. They also won Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series for Liza Colon-Zayas, who became the first Latina woman to win in this particular category. And also Christopher Storer won for Best Directing in a Comedy Series for the episode Fishes. Again, this is all being recognized for season 2, which came out last year. These were not awards or nominations based on what we previously just saw with season 3. They did not, however, win the big award of the night, Outstanding Comedy Series, which I think for probably most people was a big surprise. We'll get to that in a second and what Hacks did here. But in terms of what the Bear did walk away with, how did you feel about just their showing last night at the Emmys?
Another somewhat I think I kind of knew what was going to go down, specifically with Jeremy Allen White. I think I was like, yeah, he'll probably walk away with one of these things. But I think Liza Colon-Zayas, she was definitely a surprise for me. Although I'm so happy she won the award. Like I was like, she won. Like I was legit lit that she won that award, man. It was probably one of the one wins of the night. I don't know, just made your heart kind of smile when she won. And I just love seeing her get on stage and her even joke that first of all, that mic was hilarious. That was like another star of the night. Like the mic being moving up and down. Everybody was like, what is going on with this microphone on stage? But yeah, man, I'm really happy for her. Even almost Baccarat. I was like, oh, there's our thing. He gotta I feel like Disney is always so lucky, or like they know how to like, oh, now they're an award-winning person. I don't know. They're really good at picking, I think, the right talent. And then they win awards and they're like, look, guys, we have an award-winning person in our things. But shout out to Ebon. That was a really good season for him and the Bear as well. Fishes. Yeah. It was like one of the best episodes of TV we had seen. It was like, yeah, this is fantastic. So I'm really happy for Christopher Storer too. I think it made a ton of sense, especially being able, I think, to have the talent at that level of talent in such a interesting, intimate episode was so well done. So I also didn't know Rami directed one of those episodes. I didn't see it until he was like one of the nominations.
I didn't know that either.
I was like, whoa. They were like, Rami Youssef. I was like, whoa, where did that come from? But yeah, man, just happy for the Bears. Still a show I really love. Again, hopefully they get their lives together. Good thing this was not for season 3. But yeah, we'll see what happens from here on out. But man, not surprised at all about how the Bears showed up.
It's still one of the most popular and biggest shows on TV, so no surprise that they won so many awards. I appreciate Christopher Storer winning for Fishes. I will say I think Forks is better. The very next episode, but Fishes obviously has all the star power, all the names, attached to it. It's one of those really surprising episodes where it's like, whoa, now Jamie Lee Curtis is here. Now Bob Odenkirk is here. Oh, there's John Mulaney and Sarah Paulson. Like, it's just name after name after name. So I get it. Definitely the big highlight of that season. But yeah, this was a great showing. But the thing is that I think going into the final award of the night, Outstanding Comedy Series, because they had cleaned up so much, I think everybody just suspected like the Bears going to walk away with this award, which they also won last year at the previous ceremony, Outstanding Comedy Series. But that was not the case. Hacks actually upset the Bear and won for Outstanding Comedy Series. It also picked up another 2 awards throughout the night: Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series for Jean Smart and Outstanding Writing for a Comedy Series. Jean Smart also beat out Iowa Debris, who was nominated in that same category as well. And that happened earlier in the night, and I will say that certainly raised my eyebrow, because I was like, oh, wait a second. I thought that was a shoo-in, but maybe something is happening here. And I think it turns out that was a key indicator that maybe the momentum behind the Bear started to change. And that signaled that the Bear was not going to just unilaterally sweep all of these comedy categories. And so what do you think about this upset? What do you think about the Bear not winning this award? What do you attribute to it? And what do you want to say about Hacks as well, also picking up that huge award for that show?
Yeah. What's also interesting is a lot of people were disappointed that Abbott didn't get it. A lot of people were like, where's Abbott Elementary? And I understand. Just such a fan favorite show. A lot of people were looking for Abbott, and I get it completely. But man, I don't know. And the only reason I don't watch Hacks. I think that's like what's holding me back from being able to give like a super honest answer here. Because what if Hacks is just the shiz, or this season of Hacks is just really that good that it was like, yeah, y'all, we got to give it to Hacks. I really don't know, man. It's really hard to tell. Or maybe for some reason they didn't want the Bear to win again. I really have I don't have a ton of information here or a ton of insight to really know what happened in the night. But I'm with you though. As soon as Edibiri lost, I was like, wait a second. Gene Smart got that? What's happening here? And then the Bear continued to win. I was like, okay, maybe I'm tripping. And then Hax wins, and I was like, whoa, yeah. I did not see that coming. Definitely the biggest surprise of the night for me personally. I didn't see it coming at all. But yeah, I'm not sure, man.
Firstly, shout out to Jane Smart. This is the 6th time that she's won an Emmy. She's hugely decorated, obviously pretty famous across the board. I have not watched Hacks either, but I do hear really great things about it. But ultimately, even though I haven't watched it, I have a theory about this. It's not groundbreaking at all, and I'm sure other people are probably talking about this. I think that the conversation around the Bear season 3 ultimately influenced voters to not vote for season 2 to win this award. Like, even though we have to compartmentalize and say, yeah, we're voting for season 2. How many people are actually thinking that way? Like, if we're being honest, especially if the voting period is around the same exact time that season 3 drops, and season 3 certainly does not live up to the quality of what the previous season did. I think a lot of people can agree with that. I think that that's ultimately what influenced voters to not go with the Bear, or maybe split the decision more so than it has in the past, because the timing of it and the fact that season 3 does come out and it's not as well received, it's not as great. And I say that in particular because Liza Colon Zayas, she's been great this entire series. Her role has increased every season to the utmost in season 3, where she had that solely dedicated episode. But that was not in season 2. That was in season 3, right? Yeah. And so her winning here kind of vindicates to me that, hey, this is top of mind. We probably just watched that episode with her, that standalone sidebar episode. She was incredible. She was phenomenal. Let's give her that award. I'm going to go ahead and vote for her. And I think that same or similar thinking can probably be applied to the show in totality as to why it didn't win here. It also just doesn't help that the discourse and the conversation around this show, particularly from last year to this year, is the whole conversation as to whether it's really a comedy or a drama. Like, that's just the thing that keeps getting brought up over and over and over again. They even had a joke for it in Eugene and Dan Levy's opening segment. Is it truly a comedy, right? And ultimately, I think that conversation and that sticking point, and the fact that we just continue to bring that back up, that might sway certain voters to say, like, well, shit, maybe it's not a comedy. Maybe it should be winning this category, right? And I'm just not going to vote for it. I'm going to vote for something that appears to be more of a traditional comedy, so to say, in Hacks. And I'm just assuming that it is, because it's in this category. But that's ultimately what I think happened here. I think that those two things were working heavily against it. Just the reaction to season 3, this whole discourse around the categorization of the show. I think that influenced people to kind of go in a different direction and not vote for it. Do you have any thoughts on that, or do you think that might be completely crazy out of left field, or do you think that there might be some actual, I guess, credence to that idea or that theory that people might be feeling differently about the show?
No, for sure, especially with the Liza Colon Zayas thing, because even when she won, I was like, wait, this was season 2 or season 3? Like, I actually asked myself, like, wait a second, what happened in season 2? Like, did she have her own episode of season 2 as well, or what was the moment in season 2 that she had? And like you said, I think top of mind really is that season 3 episode that she has, which is fantastic. Again, in my mind as well, that's like another episode. I'm like, next Emmys, we might be talking about a directing award for that one too. You know what I'm saying? But like, man, I think that sounds right to me. There's nothing there that makes me go, no, that doesn't make any sense. And maybe Hacks is, like you said, more of that traditional comedy. But even then, I think that allows people to ask, why not Abbott? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I really
Abbott
don't.
also had half a season, though, if we're being fair. Like, it only had half of a season this year as compared to the previous seasons, of which was a full season. And that's not its fault, obviously. Like, that's the strikes, but it wasn't technically a full season. It was like 13 episodes compared to like the traditional 22. So I think that's also not a helpful indicator as well for that show.
Yeah, that's true. I guess they didn't like finish a story or come to a complete stop, I guess, in the middle of a story. But yeah, no, I think all that makes sense. I think that's a good theory.
Baby Reindeer was also a big winner in the limited series categories. this was something that I think a lot of people probably also saw coming. It won the biggest award of the night, Outstanding Limited Series. It also won Outstanding Lead Actor for Richard Gadd and also Outstanding Supporting Actress for Jessica Gunning. Richard Gadd became, I think, instantly a 3-time Emmy winner because he not only won for acting, but he won for producing the show and he also won
Hmm.
for writing on the show as
Yep.
well. This is really his entire creation. And so he was on stage multiple times throughout the night, probably nailing every single speech that he gave. I think he probably
Yep.
had some of the best speeches of the night, and he nailed it
Yep.
every time, even though he seemed like he wasn't totally prepared for it. But I mean, you couldn't tell because he maximized every single second he had on that stage. But Baby Reindeer, what do you want to say about that show and all the awards I walked away with?
Just congratulations, man. That show was crazy, really good show, and I think very well deserved for limited series. Out of the limited series categories too, I feel like it was the one that people were talking about the most, or even maybe the most shocked about when it came out. It was like, oh, Baby Reindeer. Have you seen Baby Reindeer? So I think it makes a ton of sense. Richard Gadd, bro, again, I think he gave one of the best monologues like I've ever seen, like in acting. I was like, I give it to the man. In Jessica Gunning, what a sweetheart. You know what I mean? Like, I love like just seeing her on stage with her accent. I don't know, just really cool. I think to see her win the award as well. But yeah, Baby Reindeer is deserving, and I'm glad it got it.
Yeah, and it was a pretty competitive field too. I really liked Ripley. I think I actually like Ripley more even than Baby Reindeer, but I knew
Hmm.
that Baby Reindeer just had so much momentum behind it because it is a new vision and a new creation. And it shocked a lot of people just the construction of the show, the execution of it, obviously how the story went. And I do appreciate exactly what Richard Gadd said on stage about how Baby Reindeer is a testament to the idea that you don't need proven IP, you don't need stars, you don't need
Hmm.
long form storytelling to greenlight shows that can be successful. This is a clear indication of a show that comes out of nowhere from people that we have probably not ever heard of, a completely original and personal story, and it just blows up. Now, a lot of that is attributed to Netflix because Netflix just has such a stranglehold on the marketplace in terms of streaming. They just have so many eyeballs available to their platform. So not everybody can pull this off. Like Apple TV Plus couldn't probably pull this off and create somewhat of a cultural phenomenon, but
Hmm.
it's all the right messaging, I think, from Richard Gadd to say something like that, to say like we need to take more risks, we need to create new stories and create new IP. We can't just rely
Yeah.
on the same shit from 10, 20, 30 years ago because we're eventually going to run out or we're just going to do the same thing over and people are going to get tired of it. And
Hmm.
so that speech and all the other speeches he gave were really incredible. And overall, Baby Reindeer, it is a fantastic creation. I think it's definitely deserved in this category. That's not it though. There were some other big things that happened throughout the night. Some other key awards that I just want to quickly talk about. I will say for True Detective Night Country, Jodie Foster winning another Emmy award. That was not a
Hmm.
surprise, so to say, but it was
Hmm.
kind of a pleasant surprise, I guess. That's the best way to categorize it. I wasn't a huge fan of True Detective Night Country, but look, it's Jodie Foster. She's incredible. She's always been incredible. So for her to walk away with that award, I'm like, yeah, this is a legend. Receiving her flowers, leading a television show. I think for the first time that she's done this. I think that this might have been the first time that she's led a television series. So I was really excited about that. Billy Crudup also won for the morning show, outstanding supporting actor in a drama series. I've dropped off the morning show. I haven't watched it. It just got too ridiculous for me. I will say he is probably the best part of that show. Billy
Hmm.
Crudup is always just amazing when he shows up. So I like that a lot. Elizabeth Debicki, supporting actress in a drama series for The Crown. She was incredible. She plays Princess Diana. Loved her in the final season. The final season wasn't great, but she was
Hmm.
great in it. And so I love what she did there. And then Lamorne Morris for Fargo, another show that I watched. I
Yes.
was really happy to see him win and come out on top in this category. He's really good in the season of Fargo. I think the best season of Fargo since season 2, probably, which is a while ago. It's been a while. They don't make Fargo that often, but he had some heavy competition. And Robert Downey Jr., who he shouted out, Jonathan Bailey, John Hawkes, who was really good in True Detective Night Country, Treat Williams. Like, yeah, some really heavy competition, and he walked away with the statue. So really happy to see that from him as well. Anything else you want to point out or say about any other winners that walked away with trophies from the ceremony?
Nah, man, you said it. I just want to highlight again Lamar Morris. Very proud of him, man. From all the way from seeing him in New Girl, Winnie the Bish, you know what I'm saying, to winning an Emmy. And I really like that he said, like, eventually, I hope my daughter understands what I do for a living. She has no idea, but hopefully she begins to understand, and that he hopes to be around for a while doing the same thing. So I'm just really proud of Lamar Morris at the end of the day, man. I was really happy for him.
Funny thing that's about to happen here, Lamorne Morris is about to be in the Saturday Night Movie, which is about SNL, and he's playing Garrett Morris, who was a part of the original cast. And
That's
people,
crazy.
he's not related to Garrett Morris. They are not
No.
related. There's no relation, but it's pretty good casting if you had to pick somebody to play Garrett Morris, a part of
Hmm.
that original SNL cast. So I'm super excited to see him be a part of that cast in that film as well. But that's not it though. Before we move on, just want to highlight the Creative Arts Emmys that did go down last week. And there were some notable key things that happened at that ceremony as well. Angela Bassett won her first Emmy ever after being nominated 9 times. She has finally won an Emmy Award for Best Narrator in a docuseries for Queens. And this comes on a really, really incredible streak for Angela Bassett, where she's just getting all her flowers. She recently won a Golden Globe. She also
Hmm.
earned an Oscar nomination for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and she received an honorary Oscar at the Governor Awards earlier this year. She also just became a Disney legend at the D23 ceremony. She was inducted into the Disney Legends. That's their sort of Hall of Fame. And now she's won her first ever Emmy after having a really, really long career in television. So just shout out to her. Incredible stuff. Michaela Cole also won Outstanding Guest Actress in a Drama Series for her appearance in Prime Video's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. She was really, really terrific in that episode. Maya Rudolph also won her 6th Emmy Award, taking home the award for Best Character Voiceover Work for the stuff that she does in Big Mouth.
Bubble bias.
Jamie Lee Curtis
Sorry.
also won for Best Guest Actress in The Bear for her work in Fishes, which is the first time that we saw her. And then also John Bernthal for that very same episode. He became a first-time Emmy winner for Best Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series for his appearance in the Fishes episode of The Bear. So a lot of first-time history being made here. A lot of notable names kind of receiving their flowers after possibly being looked over in previous ceremonies. What do you want to say about any of these winners?
Man, Angela Bassett just looking for her Tony? Yes? No? Like that's all she has left, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh my God. I
Does she
don't
have
know
a
how she
Grammy?
gonna get it.
I don't know if she has a Grammy or
Maybe
not.
not a Grammy. Maybe not a Grammy. Maybe
Yeah.
not a Grammy. Maybe right. Maybe she needs a G and a T.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. But hey, she got 2 out of the 4. Go get it. I don't know how. Go get it. Angela, go. Yeah, she'll figure it out. She'll do an audiobook or something.
That's
to
right.
get her. Yeah, to get her Grammy. But no, not a lot to say, man. Michaela Cole was fantastic in the episode of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Maya Rudolph, again, still the best character in Big Mouth as the hormone monstress. Like, duh, of course. But yeah, that nothing to say outside of that, man. Just happy for everybody.
Overall, really, really incredible stuff. A great season of television once again in the books, and another Emmy Award season in the books. And so, folks, if you have any thoughts or opinions or feedback about the Primetime Emmy Awards, definitely hit us up and let us know what you think.